Hello, music fans. Welcome to the Death by Unicorn channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my top 50 albums of 2023. On my channel here, I focus on metal, rock, and prog. And this video is only going to cover my number 50 to number 26 of 2023 because I've already made another video where I cover my number 25 to my number 1. And I said in that video that if it got more than 250 views, that I would do my number 50 to 26. So this is me making good on that promise. My top 25 actually got over 1,000 views and it became my most viewed video on my channel so far. So, you know, I got to give the people what they want. I got to give them more of my top albums of 2023. Hopefully, people find some more good albums in this video to check out. And if you haven't already watched my top 25, I recommend you check that out as well. But watch this first and then go watch that. There's a bit of a spoiler for that on this slide here because I've shown my top four just if you recognize these album covers. So if you like these types of albums, you're probably going to like my list. And without further ado, let's jump to the next slide where I give a little bit of a rundown of how much music I listened to this that came out in 2023. I listened to 423 new albums in 38 subgenres of metal, rock, prog, punk, electronic, jazz, pop, classical, folk, and bluegrass. And you can see the data because I'm a bit of a spreadsheet nerd on all this about which subgenres I listen to most. Progressive rock at the top, then progressive metal, then metalcore. So those are kind of my top three genres, but you can see all these genres here. And now let's jump into the actual list, which will focus heavily on progressive metal and progressive rock, but there are a couple things like post rock and post metal and mathcore. There's like a few other genres sprinkled in there. Number 50 is Noveria with The Gates of the Underworld. Now, this is the fourth album by this Italian band. It's progressive power metal. Check out the song Overlord for a preview. This will be a good album for fans of Symphony X, Evergrey, and Redemption. If you like those bands, I'm pretty sure you'll like this. It sounds like a long lost Symphony X record, which is great for me because I love Symphony X. There's amazing guitar solos, lots of shredding. The vocals here are in between Devin Townsend and Russell Allen in terms of their timbre. Number 49 is Unitopia with Seven Chambers. This is the fifth album by this Australian band. It's a progressive rock album. Check out the song Mania for a preview. Uh, this album ends with two epics that are both over 18 minutes long. The whole album has lots of great violin, flute, and vocal melodies. Really great album. Check it out if that sounds appealing to you. I think fans of Genesis, Yes, and Jethro Tull will like this because there's a lot of classic 70s prog vibes in here. But there's also some more modern stuff too that would be good for fans of Big Big Train, Porcupine Tree, and Transatlantic. Number 48 is East of the Wall with A Neutral Second. This is experimental progressive post metal. It's the sixth album by this American band. Check out the song Detonator Gauntlet for a preview of this album. I recommend this band for fans of The Ocean and Cult of Luna. Imagine if those bands did less screaming and more clean singing. And that's kind of what this sounds like. There's lots of great guitar parts on this album as well. And there's even some moments with horns, which is pretty cool. Number 47 is Gorod with The Orb. Now, this is more on the technical death metal side. It's still got some progressive influences. It's the seventh album by this French band. Check out the title track, The Orb, for a preview. Yeah, it's really good, blistering and technical guitar parts, extreme vocals, almost all harsh screaming, but there is the odd moment with some clean singing. Check this out if you're a fan of the Faceless, Obscura, Obsidious, or Archspire, or other similar tech death bands with prog influences. Number 46 is the Mercury Tree with Self Similar. This is the seventh album by this American band, and it's kind of psychedelic progressive rock with math rock influences. Check out the song Grown Apart for a preview. If you're a fan of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, in particular their microtonal tuning albums, I think you'll like this because this album uses microtonal tuning. The vocals here remind me of Tom York from Radiohead. But there was even a moment on the title track, self-similar, where they let out a scream and it almost sounded like a mathcore section. And I've really started to like this band a lot. I checked out all their earlier work and I love what they've done over their career. Number 45 is Redemption with I Am the Storm. This is the seventh album by this American band that features Tom England of Evergrey on vocals. I really enjoy Evergrey, so I expected I would like this, and I was pleasantly surprised they seem even more progressive than Evergrey. This is progressive power metal. Check out the song Action at a Distance for a preview. Number 44 is Voyager with Fearless in Love. This is the eighth album by this Australian band. It's progressive metal with a lot of electronic and pop and rock influences in there. Check out the song Promise, which was featured in the 2023 Eurovision Song Contest final, where they placed 9th out of 26. And I'm really happy that they did so well in that contest. I hope that they go on to participate again and that they do even better. I wish they won Eurovision just to put prog metal on the map more with that mainstream audience. Maybe next time they will. Number 43 is Riverside with ID Entity, the eighth album by this Polish band. This is progressive rock with some little sprinkles of metal in there. Check out this song, I'm Done With You. That's my favorite on the album. Some other good songs on the album, Friend or Foe. That one has a strong 80s feel to it. A bit cheesy, but it's pretty cool. That song sounds kind of like Aha, but other parts of it sound like Rush. So I suggest this album for fans of Leprous, Sowen, Haken, and Porcupine Tree, because it's almost progressive metal, but there's no screaming or anything grating or jarring on here. Number 42 is Lalu with The Fish Who Wanted to Be King. I guess the word king is hidden by the album cover here on my slide, but that's okay. It's called The Fish Who Wanted to Be King. It's the fourth album by this French band. It's a progressive rock album. Their previous work was more on the metal side, but this one leaned more into rock. Check out the song Forever Digital for a preview of this. I love everything this band's done. I do prefer their previous albums where they had more of a metal edge. This is their softest album. No harsh vocals or guitar chugging or blast beats or even that much distortion. I think fans of classic material from the 70s, classic prog stuff like Yes would like this. There is a 14-minute prog epic on the album called Amnesia 1916, which touches on a lot of different styles in one song. So I think that would be a cool one to check out for everybody. Number 41 is Vinter SE with Woven into Ashes, the third album by this American band. It's progressive melodic death metal with black metal and post-metal influences. Check out the song At the Gleaming Void. There's female vocals on here, both singing and screaming, intense guitar playing and fast drumming, lots of energy and brutality, but also beautiful atmosphere and melody. If you're a fan of Ginger, I think you'll like this. Number 40 is Enslaved with Heimdall. This is progressive black metal. It's the 16th album by this Norwegian band. Check out the title track for a preview of this. This band's never made a bad album, but I really love this last 8 or so albums that they've done, including this one, where they've leaned more towards progressive metal than black metal. They've always had hints of both prog and black metal, and they still do, but they've been shifting more towards the progressive side than the black metal side over the years, which I like. But I think both black metal fans and prog metal fans will like this, as long as you can either enjoy or overlook the harsh, shrieking vocal style of black metal. Number 39 is Dave Matthews Band with Walk Around the Moon. Now, this is kind of a different one on here because this is more of an alternative rock album with some jazz, folk, and indie influences. So a bit outside of my usual progressive tendencies, but they are kind of a progressive band in ways. They have some time signature changes and they are adventurous and have some, more extended solos and things like that from time to time. But it's still more of like grounded in singer-songwriter stuff. Check out the song Madman's Eyes, though, for a preview. I like that song the best on this album. But I really like everything this band has done. Really like their newer stuff, their last four or so albums. I think they've been on a hot streak. And there's a lot of great songs on here. Madman's Eyes, of course. But The Only Thing is another great song. Another one is After Everything. Just check it out. Number 38 is Catatonia with Sky Void of Stars. This is the 12th album by this Swedish band. It's progressive metal. It's got some doom metal and alternative rock influences in there. Check out the song Austerity for a preview. I don't think this band has any bad albums, but I love what they've been doing recently. I think there's a bit of a trend here with Enslaved, Dave Matthews Band, and Catatonia, where they are consistent. They always release good stuff, but I've really been liking their newer stuff for all three of those bands. Uh, I think that Catatonia has been getting more and more progressive. They've nearly completely abandoned their early career sound, which was more like death doom and black metal. Number 37 is Sigar Roose with Atta. This is the eighth album by this Icelandic band. It's ambient post-rock with classical influences. Check out the song Bloodberg for a preview. This is very beautiful, very peaceful. This is quite different from the other albums on my list as well. It's not metal at all. It's not really prog, but it is kind of like cinematic and the music takes you on a journey like prog music does. It's very beautiful, peaceful, minimal percussion. It's very slow music. It's kind of sad, but also hopeful and uplifting at the same time. The lyrics on here are not in English. They primarily sing in Icelandic. And this album sounds particularly good because they feature a full orchestra. Number 36 is Yes with Mirror to the Sky. This is progressive rock. It's the 23rd album by this British band. Check out the title track. That's my favorite on the album. They're one of the most popular and best prog rock bands that rose to heights during the classic 70s era prog rock. I think this is a step up from their last two albums, The Quest and Heaven and Earth, but it's still not on the same level as their classic 70s albums. My second favorite track on the album is the opener, Cut from the Stars. Number 35 is the Anchoret with It All Began with Loneliness. This is progressive metal. It's a debut album by this Canadian progressive metal band. Check out the track Forsaken for a preview of this. There's mostly clean vocals on here, but there are some harsh vocals. There's lots of jazz influence on here too, as well as metal. Great lead and rhythm guitar playing, great compositions for fans of Protest the Hero, Haken, Opeth. It's kind of like a mix of those bands without sounding too much like any of them. You have the guitar wizardry of a band like Protest the Hero, the compositional strength of Haken, the dynamic range of Opeth. Smash them together with some jazz fusion, and you have this. Number 34 is Enoch Root, I think is how you pronounce it. And it's called Delusion. This is another debut album. In fact, I've got a few debut albums in a row here. This is my debut album spot in my video today. This is for fans of the Deer Hunter. It's progressive rock with alternative influences. Check out the song Duplicity for a preview. The guitar solo in that one reminds me of Haken. Number 33, another debut album, is Temic with Terror Management Theory, another progressive metal band. You'll see a lot of progressive metal on my list. Check out the song Count Your Losses for a preview. This is a super group that features Eric Gillette from the Neil Morse Band on guitars and backing vocals, and he's a great guitar player. Sounds just like John Petrucci from Dream Theater. It features Diego Tejeda, formerly of Haken, on keyboards. Another great player, Frederick Bergerson of Marathon on vocals, and Simon Sadness of Shining and Archetype on drums. And number 32 is Tritop with Rise of Cassandra, another debut album. This is more on the progressive rock side. There's a little sprinkling of metal in here from time to time, but it's more classic and retro sounding. Check out the title track for a preview of this. Even though this band formed way back in 2006, this is their first album. The title track starts off the album as a 13-minute track, and the album ends with a 24-minute prog epic called The Sacred Law of Retribution. They have some moments that sound like Gentle Giant parts, and they have a part that sounds freakishly similar to the end of Octavarium by Dream Theater at the end of their 24-minute epic. If you like Spock's Beard, Transatlantic, and Dream Theater, I think you'll like this. Number 31 is Press to Enter with From Mirror to Road, another debut album in this great string of debut albums that I've been talking about here. Check out the song Sky High Places for a preview of this. They're a Danish band. Great female clean vocals throughout the whole album. No harsh vocals on here. The vocals are very catchy. They sound like pop vocals, but the instrumentals behind them are complex with time signature changes for fans of Dream Theater, Haken, intervals, and Animals as leaders. There's lots of great guitar leads, lots of gent rhythms. I think fans of Sordid Pink would like this as well, the band that was previously known as Destiny Potato, because they have similar pop vocals over gent style prog metal. Number 30 is Okrist with The Approbation, another debut album here, this time from a Norwegian band. And it's progressive rock with a little bit of metal influence in there as well. Check out the song Arcane Clouds for a preview. The first single they released on the album, The Pale Moon, sounds kind of like Opeth around the Blackwater Park time, but with a bigger focus on the softer parts with clean vocals. There are some growls right near the end of that song, but most of the album sounds like a mix of Porcupine Tree and Opeth, and the last song is a long prog epic that even had some parts that reminded me of King Crimson. Number 29 is Pupil Slicer with Blossom. This is mathcore with alternative indie, post-rock, black metal, and death metal influences. It's the second album by this band from the UK. Check out the title track, Blossom, for a preview of this. It's the catchiest song, at least, but it's not necessarily representative of everything on there. There's a lot more chaotic songs that come before it. This is for fans of Rollo Tomasi. They're a female-fronted band. They combine mathcore brutality and intensity with beauty, atmosphere, and catchiness, just like Rollo Tomasi does. There's a nice mix of harsh vocals and clean singing here. Number 28 is Earthside with Let the Truth Speak. This is progressive metal with symphonic and post-rock influences. It's the second album by this American band. I really love their debut album from 2015. This album's also great, very cinematic, features a lot of different guest musicians, especially on the vocal side, as the band doesn't feature a vocalist. So they just, the band doesn't have a vocalist as a full-time member, so they feature guest vocalists on each song. The most notable guest for prog metal fans would be Daniel Tompkins of Tesseract on vocals on the title track. And another notable guest for big prog metal fans would be Bard Kolstad from Leprous, plays drums on All We Knew and Ever Loved. But there's some other great guests on here as well, like Katura, who provides excellent female vocals on two of the tracks. Number 27 is HMLTD with The Worm, possibly the weirdest album on this video. This is progressive art rock. It's kind of like a rock opera. It's got this post-punk aesthetic and experimental influences in there. And it's the second album by this band from the UK. It's a loose concept album about a worm that is about to swallow England. But it's hard to say what it's really about. It could be about the main character not being able to distinguish between real and symbolic figures. It could be that the worm is mental illness or depression. If you're a fan of Black Midi, I think you'll like this. And the last album that I'm going to talk about in this video is number 26, which is Vinsta Fry Whiten. This is progressive melodic death metal with acoustic and folk influences. And it's the third album by this Austrian band. Check out the song Schwose Laken for a preview of this. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. But this project started out as a folk project, but then they got heavier and evolved into progressive death metal, which is surprising because you don't see too many folk bands just evolve into progressive death metal. Usually goes the other way. There's progressive death metal bands that like get softer and go into folk. But I think fans of Opeth will like this a lot. It sounds like Opeth back when they did Death Growls. They've also got a violin in here, so that gives them another added flavor that Opeth doesn't have. They have mostly clean vocals, both male and female, but they have a decent amount of harsh vocals too. Some of the distorted electric guitar riffs on this album just sound so evil and heavy, like old Opeth, but then they have those beautiful folky passages as well. And that's it for my number 50 to my number 26 favorite albums of 2023. Check out my other video where I talked about my top 25. I'll probably leave a link to that somewhere. It'll be like either here, 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 or here. And that's it. Subscribe to my channel if you like to stay in the loop on new metal, rock, and progressive albums that are coming out. And until next time, peace out.